Peace, peace, everybody. I'm Alexandra Antoine, and I am here in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the Indigenous Food Lab, and I will be making hibiscus tea and Haitian Akra for you all. We'll get started with the hibiscus first. Hibiscus is the national flower of Haiti. I dearly love hibiscus. But this is a tea that you can drink iced or hot, and it's good for your blood and overall blood circulation. And one of my aunts was the one who let me know that it's called Teshu Black in Haitian Creole, but it's also known as Bissap in parts of West Africa, Carcady in parts of the Middle East, as Jamaica in Latin America and Mexico. So it has very different names, but it's still the same delicious drink throughout the African and Latin diaspora, which is what I also really love about it. So what you'll need is dried hibiscus leaves that I washed and rinsed, 1 orange, a small knob, palm size of ginger, 2 cinnamon sticks, 2 or 3 star anise, but hey, the more the better. Clove as well, and either honey or maple syrup, whichever one you prefer. This goes by pretty quickly because all I'm doing is basically cutting up the ginger and the orange, and then everything else just goes in the pot. So first I'll put 3 quarts of water into the pot here, and then I'll peel the ginger. So I'll just take a spoon and just like peel the skin off, and then I'll give it like a rough chop, or you can cut it into slices as well. But the thing I love about hibiscus tea is that whatever you put in it when you're brewing it, the longer you let it steep, like the stronger it gets. So if you want like not so strong of a ginger flavor, like you could let it steep in there for 20 minutes or so and take it out. But I leave everything in there as long as possible because to me it's all medicine. So they all can be in there and have a good party for as long as they want. So then what I'll do is I'll usually just like slice up the ginger like this. So I remember watching my mom in the kitchen. I'd be like, okay, what's that? What'd you put in there? And she'd just be like, just watch. And I'd be like, okay, but what is that season? She's like, just watch. So there's a way I've noticed, even throughout my travels, of when you're learning cooking styles or even art practices throughout the African diaspora, silence is actually very important because it's a way for knowledge to be passed on that words would be too distracting. So there's the ginger. And then for the orange, I basically do the same thing where I just do slices. So I'll do just like some medium slices in there. So I am originally from Florida, born in Miami, and then also raised in Orlando. But both of my parents are from Léogâne, Haiti. So as a kid, my mom would actually send me and one of my brothers there for the summer. And both my grandparents were farmers. So I grew up summers just being immersed in nature. And of course, as an adult is when the appreciation for it really sunk in deep. No need to peel the orange because again, to me, all parts of the orange is medicine. So then what I'll do is put everything into the pot of water, put the oranges in there, the ginger in there, star anise, 2 cinnamon sticks, about a half teaspoon of clove. And then once it's at a boil, I'll turn it off and then cover it and just let it steep for about 30 minutes to an hour. Or if you want it to be stronger than that, you can go 1.5 hours. If it vibrates with your soul like that, do that. Clove and star anise and cinnamon go together very well because hibiscus, I find, can be tart and like citrusy sometimes. So if you want to balance that out, I usually go with the cinnamon sticks, the star anise, and the clove. And as you can see now, the hibiscus is boiling. So I'll turn it off now. And then we'll put the cover on it so that it can just steep for a little bit. So now we'll be making Haitian Akra, which are malanga fritters. So what you'll need is 3/4 malanga, which is a root vegetable, 1 scotch bonnet or a habanero pepper. Malanga fritters usually comes on something called a fritai plate, which is basically like a bunch of fried food. So right now I'm just peeling the malanga. You want to make sure you get all of the skin off because you don't want to eat the skin. Malanga is in the taro family, but there are many different varieties. This version is very good for Akra because when you grate it, the consistency of it is more like doughy as opposed to some of the other ones where they just don't come together, like they just don't stick as well. And so once you get all of the skin peeled off of them, what I'll do is I'll take a big mixing bowl and you could take a hand grater. I go to the smaller holes because you want it to be like a paste because that's what's gonna help it stick together. But if you don't want to do that, you can also put it in a food processor with the grater attachment and just like feed it through the food processor. It actually, to me, goes by pretty fast. So then you'll get like a paste like this that like you could really kind of form. That's what you want. So you're grating all of them. And once you don't feel like comfortable with a little baby piece, if you don't want to sacrifice the skin on your knuckles, then this piece we put aside. That can be for the ancestors right there. And then you start with the next one. So once you get all those grated, you'll have yourself a nice serving of grated up malanga. And what you want to do is season it to your liking. So I am going to use epis, which this is an essential like Haitian blend. And what's in it is onion, green onion, scotch bonnet, green and red bell peppers. So I'll usually do like about a 1/2 cup to this amount of malanga. Then I'll also add in like some garlic powder. I do add a little onion powder also. And then for the kick, I'll add in a scotch bonnet pepper. And even though I do like baby spice flavors, I always like to put in a little pepper, and I just need 1/2 of it. So then I'll do like a fine mince on there. So we are in a live market. So if you hear music in the background, that is why. And that's all good because we want some good energy into our food. So I'll then put this 1/2 mince of pepper in here. So I'm just incorporating all of the ingredients into here. So once that's all incorporated, I'll basically let that sit like that. You don't have to let it like rest for too long. You just want to just make sure it's incorporated, let it sit, and then you'll get your oil ready. Once your oil starts to heat up, I'll show you how to shape it. So what I do is I'll take a little portion with my spoon, and then you want to like spread it out. You can also do this with your hands. You can form it into like a log shape, like that. And the fact that it's keeping its shape lets you know it's the right consistency, so it's not like too watery. So we'll test if the oil is hot by putting in a little droplets. Ooh, got that nice sizzle. I also get excited when I make food because I'm like, we about to eat. So this is exciting for me. It's fun to be in the kitchen. Okay, so we'll drop in the first one, and you want to carefully drop it in there. And I usually try to do like 1 or 2 at a time. You don't want to crowd the pot because I find that sometimes they want to try to stick to each other in the oil, and we don't need that. That's not the time to be friends. That is the time to fry up. In this, when you're frying it, you do want to flip it halfway through just to make sure that both sides are golden brown. And you're looking for a golden color like that. That's what you want. Put that on there. And basically that's the process of like, you form and then you drop. And once it's ready, you take it out. You form and you drop. And that's the repetitiveness that I really enjoy, like when it comes to cooking. And even in my art practice, like anything that's repetitive, like I love that. So whether I'm stitching something over and over, sewing something into a canvas over and over, like I love that. A lot of my artwork as a visual artist is around storytelling, and it takes whatever medium my spirit feels it needs to take. But I usually center Black folks throughout the diaspora. And most recently, I've been working on a painting series where I've been painting women throughout the diaspora, specifically Kenya, Ghana, and Brazil, who all do some type of work with food. So a lot of my work is very deep in Black culture, Black food, because I grew up as the kid, always ready with my plate. And then once it's cooled off, we'll put it on a platter and serve it up. These are also appetizers sometimes when you go to Haitian restaurants. You can get these as an appetizer or as a side if you want. And that is how you make Haitian Akra. So now we are back to strain our hibiscus tea. So what you'll need is whatever type of strainer you have on hand. You can use cheesecloth if you have that, anything just to catch the spices that we put in there. So this has been sitting maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Ooh, that beautiful red color. Oh, that is what you are looking for. Oh, you can smell like the cinnamon, the star anise, and the orange. Oh my God. This, like, I live for this. If this was a candle, we'd be winning. Like, this would be amazing. So what you want to do is, I usually will pour, and then I also do this at home too, where I'll put a towel down because I don't want my whole counter turning red. But what I do is I'll pour like a little bit to start. So I'll pour some of it. And then what I like to do is put in maple syrup. I'll put some maple syrup in there. This is about 8 ounces, a little bit less than 8 ounces, which is like a cup. So once I get that like thoroughly mixed in, then I'll add like more of the hibiscus tea. For me, drinking teas growing up specifically, everything was always medicine. So it was never like, oh, I'm just drinking tea just to like drink tea. It was like, this tea is helping something. And I think that's what I've been like really leaning into as I continue to like make the hibiscus tea for myself and for other people, so that when you drink it, like it really nourishes your body. Because to me, that's what it's supposed to do, and it tastes good. And there you have it, delicious hibiscus tea, or as we call it, teshu black in Haiti. You get a nice, again, the tartness is coming through, but you get the floral, you get like a little bit of a berry taste. You definitely taste the cinnamon, the ginger. You can also taste, it's not too spicy, but it's in there. All right, so we're gonna try our Akra alongside the hibiscus tea. So the hibiscus tea we already know is bomb.com. But the Akra fritters, we're gonna give these a try. You want a nice crispy outside and then like a soft inside. I always taste the epis a lot. And then I also taste a lot of the onion and the garlic. And you wash it down with hibiscus. Match made in heaven. Thank you all for watching. This was so much fun. I'm glad you all now know how to make hibiscus tea and Haitian Akra. If you want to know more about me, you can find me at my website, www.alexandraantoine.com. You can also find me on the gram. And I'd love to give so much gratitude to the Indigenous Food Lab for having me and inviting me out to share my love of Haitian culture and Haitian food and drinks. And again, thank you all for watching.